This is TWiT.
Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. Save time and money while implementing the exact training your company needs, be it private training for one department or an enterprise-wide solution. ACI Learning helps you create the perfect training solution for your business. Visit acilearning.com and learn how ACI can power up your IT team. I know if Mary Jo Foley were to be here, she would be so excited about the notion that tabs are coming to Notepad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
was this leaked accidentally?
Yeah. Well, a Microsoft employee tweeted, I believe, a screenshot showing this. And the screenshot said, confidential, do not discuss. Don't discuss features that take screenshots.
Don't do this.
So somehow this person survived multiple rounds of layoffs, but
he's in Jerry Nixon's department now.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't remember the year. Years ago, Joe Belfiore got up on a stage and announced at probably Build a feature coming to Windows 10 called Sets. And Sets was this thing that they were going to update the window manager in Windows to support tabs in any application, every application. So Microsoft Word could have tabs. You could do Control-T, open a new Word tab, and different way of navigating. That feature never arrived.
You could see why they thought that people would want this because look at browsers. Some, not all, well, not me, keep hundreds of tabs open. That's just, they think in terms of,
You're the only people on earth I can have this conversation with because both of you will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
A million years ago, back in the 1990s, one of the big debates in software development, back when Windows was literally everything, it was all that mattered, was this notion of multiple document interface and single document interface, right?
Oh, my.
And it was kind of based around the same idea. Like, in other words, you're using Word and you want to work in multiple documents. Do you open them all in the same window and have some form of, I guess, inter-window navigation that is separate from the Alt-Tab navigation we have in Windows? Or do you want to have a separate window for each document? And Microsoft was so enamored of this MDI thing, MDI, that they, in Visual Studio with MFC, created actually the only easy thing you could do in Visual C++, was create MDI applications. Like they had like a template for it. You would have multiple sub windows. You could have an about box. It was all very formal. You could always tell when it was written in Visual C++. Yep.
Split screen, now, all of those things.
Yeah, this was pre-tabs.
You mean Loop?
Hold on. So actually, that ties in a way. Yes. But you could, in the frame of a window, have floating windows that each represented a document. They could be full window size as well, right? And then you could use some kind of a window menu or something to switch between them, however you did it. But of course, when the web browser came around and started this concept of tabs, and also a navigation scheme where it's like Control Tab, right? You can see where they got to that to switch between them. There's an interesting thing going on there, right? Because you could call a browser sort of an MDI application. Some people call it like a tab-based interface, like a TBI or whatever it is. You still have to deal with the fact that you have multiple documents in an application window and you have to navigate to them. How do you do that? Windows, up until very recently, didn't support a way to Alt-Tab into different views inside of application windows, right? So in Windows 11, I actually can't remember if this was in Windows 10. It probably is. I'm sorry if I don't remember this, but by default, the first 3 tabs in Edge will show up in Alt-Tab. And you can configure it to be 5 or 10 or something, or all of them or none of them, however you want. So if that's how you want to navigate, you can navigate at the OS level to browser tabs. Fascinating. But now we have applications because it's Windows 11, right? So back in the 1990s, the whole software world turned on its head to do this thing. This was the biggest concern in the world. And now you move forward to Windows 11, we're talking about reduced resources and reduced level of interest and whatever. And all we can do is add tabs to individual applications one at a time. And geez. So we have them in File Explorer. We saw how poorly they rolled that out. Now they're going to add them to Notepad. And here's my take on this is very simple. It doesn't hurt anyone who doesn't want to use it. I will never use it. And it doesn't change anything. It is the epitome of a superficial change that the three people who need it for some reason will love and will be very happy, but it's a bullet point item on a list. Here's what we changed in this release, and it just doesn't change anything.
The idea is you want to somehow group things.
And call them documents. It's the easiest way. Documents, right? Yeah. Like web tabs or web browser tabs are individual web documents, right? They're documents, right?
But we also have workspaces, which I do use.
Yeah, that's a real power user feature, though.
Yeah.
But by the way, there's another level of navigation, right? So, how do you switch to a different workspace? I don't mean literally. Right. I mean, there are keyboard shortcuts, and you obviously can use the taskbar.
You have to turn it on. It's funny because I was setting up this new Lenovo to use, and it wasn't on. And I guess it's a feature in 22H2 or something that you can. But anyway, you had to turn it on. But I have Firefox chat. I have a Discord window. I have a Slack window. I have add copy. I have a system window. This is how I work.
So you have one window in each.
Because I like full screen. Right. Yeah. And then I have set it up so the Windows key tab opens up this interface. Right. That's kind of. I mean, on other computers, I don't know if there is on Windows, there are gestures to move from one workspace to the other.
Probably 3 fingers, left, right, or something like that, or maybe 4 fingers.
See. Yeah, well, something happens. It works, sort of. It's confusing, but
I don't do that a lot, but it's got to be something like that.
I like that. You know where that comes from? I hate to tell you, that comes from iPad, because on an iPad, you keep everything full screen, and I just got used to that. And then I use it on every operating system now.
One of the few smart things they've done in Windows over the past few years was make the mouse and touchpad and touch, I guess I would call it touchpad and touch-based gestures as identical as possible.
Yeah.
So that if you were used to doing gestures
that's good, because that's muscle memory. You don't want to.
Like that was actually, I thought that was pretty smart.
You don't want to change that. Yeah, there's
the one evil thing you find with tabs that could be really problematic is you grab a tab, typically from a browser, and you drag it across the screen because you want to position multiple windows. I have these big wide screens where I never want to maximize. I want to be able to side by side. If I drag across another browser instance, that tab will snap to that browser.
Oh, I know.
Which is annoying.
It's so annoying.
It also resizes the document.
Yeah, that's right. That's very annoying.
Now, even if you drag it off, you're now in the wrong size, and
that's
actually a good point.
Let's not get into the ugliness of Windows laptops, and you are using a touchpad to do to navigate to a tab, and it grabs it, and it pulls it out of the window you're in, which is not what you were looking to do. Right. Maybe I'm just clumsy, but this happens to me depending on the touchpad. This can happen pretty frequently.
You can see, though, what Microsoft's challenge is that there are as many ways of doing it and as many preferences as there are users, practically. And they want to support, they seem to want to support everybody. Apple used to, on the other hand, say, no. I mean, this has changed somewhat over the years, but originally Apple was what they called monotonous. There was one and only one way to do anything. That was actually the term of art.
There are advantages to both of those schemes. But you had asked earlier, at what point does Microsoft would they ever just walk away from Windows? Like, how far does it have to fall, right? And I would just say, I don't know that. Like I said, I don't know about there being an answer to that. But one thing I view it's only been 5, maybe 6 years since sets. Just in that short period of time, there has been a readjustment in the expectations in the Windows group because there was an engineering effort to change the window manager in Windows so that every window could have tabs, no matter what it was. It was going to be an automatic thing. You just got legacy apps.
Yeah.
Though they were working on it. Obviously, I'd love to see the final report on why they didn't do it because there were, I'm sure, very serious technical issues with it. We tested this in the Windows Insider program. People loved it. And then they took it away and never talked about it again. And then one day, October last year, they added tabs to one app. And now they're going to add them to one more app. And they're just built-in apps. And what I'm saying is the engineering required, the resources you'd have to allocate, the effort of those two different things is so stark that just in the past, we'll call it 5-6 years, that's how far Windows has fallen inside of Microsoft. They were going to do some major engineering and change Windows broadly, and now they're changing built-in apps that people just aren't going to really use that stuff too much.
You may be touching on the political issue here, which is that they tried to do this broad thing and got pushed back by potentially more politically powerful groups inside of Microsoft.
But that's,
now look at the apps they are changing. It's the ones they control.
That's interesting. So actually, that's a good point. So when I said I would love to see the real reason, my expectation was there was a technical issue. I think there were technical issues, but that's just as good of a reason, right? That answer would be just as interesting. That, the group that controls the Azure group that controls the internals of Windows finally said, guys, you're touching code that we use in Azure. We're not doing this for Windows. Sorry. No, right. It's not that important. I would love to, whatever the reason is, I'd just love to know. I'd love to know. Hopefully someday we'll know.
Just as an aside regarding this whole tabbed Notepad thing, it's like, I don't really use Notepad anymore. I use VS Code.
Sure. Right.
And it has tabs, right? Like that's sort of reality.
Yeah.
Everything I can recreate in Notepad can be created in VS Code.
The people who are technical enough to want, need, or use tabs in a text editor are already using Notepad++ or VS Code or whatever it is.
Yeah. Notepad is for the I don't want to.
I don't even know who it's for, honestly. It's just
it's an appliance that comes with Windows that you use because you didn't have anything else set up, or you just needed to write.
And why shouldn't it be VS Code in the sense that most of the time you're just editing text, except now it's colorful.
Should say, actually, I suppose technically speaking, File Explorer might be the second tabbed application in Windows 11 because Terminal is now part of Windows 11 and Terminal supports tabs.
Tabbed. Huh.
And it supports tabs that have different command line environments.
Terminal is the one application that, to me, the tabs make sense because you've got something running in a tab in a pane.
Right.
You don't want to interrupt
it. A different type of thing. It's not just another document. It's a different.
It's a new terminal.
You could be like, I want a Linux terminal. I want a command prompt. I want a PowerShell.
Or there's a process running and you want to keep going and you could open a tab. That's the one place tabs to me make a lot of sense. But I think all terminals are tabbed.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. For those, because I know I'm going to hear from these people. If you love and need and use File Explorer tabs, or you want them in Notepad, that's great. That's great. The presence of tabs in File Explorer doesn't prevent me from using it, and it doesn't get in the way of anything. It's
you don't
fine.
have to use it.
I don't mind that they're doing it. I'm just saying, what this is really about is this is a symptom of what's happening with Windows. Back in the 90s, where it was everything. My God, the engineering was like bam, bam. It was like it was all over the place. Even as recently as 5 or 6 years ago, they were talking about doing something impressive with the window manager in Windows 10. I'm just pointing that out because they're not talking about that stuff anymore. We're doing little goofy. These are college interns who come in and do little side projects. This is not big engineering.
But if you think about it, if you wanted to add some convenience for people, adding a tab is kind of the least you could do, the least obtrusive, doesn't affect Paul. I can see why they might have settled on that.
Well,
as opposed to tiled windows.
The least you could do would be to do nothing.
Well, but a tab's easy. It's probably easy to add. It's not a hard thing to add. That would be the least. And it doesn't get in anybody's way, but if somebody wants it.
That's why it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so actually, I'm going to bring it. My face is about to light up white because I just ran Paint. So Paint is an application. Paint is an application they just redid. This is a brand new version of Paint. I mean, I'm sure the underlying code is the same. I always do this. I know this is probably not technically accurate, but I believe this to be a Win32 app that has a WinUI front end. I think that's what I'm looking at. That's how I would describe it, but it doesn't matter. This app, despite the fact that it is brand new, does not support dark mode. So I'm using my computer in dark mode, and it comes up stark white. It's the only mode it supports. Now, we may see a news report in the next year. They're going to add tabs to Paint. That's great. Could you support dark mode first? Here's a thing you could support in Paint. This is going to blow your mind. Doesn't support a lot of keyboard shortcuts. I can't do Alt F. Actually, it just worked. Never mind. That's not true. Actually, they must have just added it.
They got dark mode. Woo!
All right. So, that's very interesting.
Okay, we'll rewind that.
That didn't work before.
That's a new moment right there.
No, that's brand new. No, you don't understand. I actually use Paint all the time. That's very interesting to me. Okay, good. So, but this is an application they redid the UI on. It's typical Windows 11. Just slapdash it together, get it out the door. the version of Notepad we have now supports dark mode. It supports all the keyboard shortcuts from before. It's basically the same app, but beautiful WinUI style UI. Notepad Paint looks great if you like white. If you wanted if you're looking for like a cheap way to add a ring light to your setup, just run Paint while you're doing a work call. It will light up your entire face. It's weird. So this is, again, I love that they added that. Now I want to go play with it. These to me are symptoms. They're indications of where we're at with Windows. Like these are the types of things we get. We get a search pill on the taskbar that nobody knew was coming. That they've never even acknowledged even happened, let alone announced. We get new versions of Paint and Notepad for some reason. Paint is only white. Sorry, hope you want the brightness. And Notepad's going to get tabs apparently. So it's like whatever. I mean, it's just, remember, like, why would they have done this stuff in the past? Microsoft would have added features to Windows, and then they would have added to some SDK so you could add those features to your apps. Now they're just throwing stuff out in the world. Nobody's gonna look at Notepad and be inspired to add tabs to their app. Go look at the Microsoft Dev site and figure out what the framework is they used, and then do it to their own app because that doesn't exist. These are just like little one-off. They're like little toys. It's not the same.
Are you saying it feels like it's the B team?
Oh, we're way past the B team. This is
the intern.
This is the guy who's walking around with a pot of water and a stick. Is walked by a computer that no one turned off and started coding.
Why does he have a pot of water and a stick, Paul?
I don't know. The janitor. I don't know. I can't speak.
There's some image in here.
He's got a broom and water, and he's like,
he's the chaiwala.
It's like Saturday afternoon in building 33, and he's like, I think I'm going to add tabs to Notepad when no one's looking. Just check it out at GitHub or whatever they're using these days.
Another feature by your favorite chaiwala, tabs in Notepad. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.